When you were a child, sitting in the back seat of your parents' car, watching the raindrops race down your window, did you ever see a big mansion pass the rain and wonder, how much would I make from stealing everything they had? No? Just me? Alright. Well, today I'm going to be living out that fantasy in The Sims 4 by stealing from my neighbors and opening a store that sells the things that I stole. I am not a master thief. Instead, I am just a cranky old man, KibblesJack the First. I'm going to act like an old person by doing the things they do, saying inappropriate things a little too loud in public, and committing crimes. I have retired and currently live with my child, my grandchild, and my great-grandchild. They all have their hopes and dreams, but none of this matters as it interferes with my goals and my aspirations. So get the f*** out of my house. Now that I live alone, I need to begin my training to be a competent thief. None of that working out actually helped me at all, as stealing in this game is related to the mischief skill, which I improved by sitting at a computer for hours on end. However, I am absolutely yoked, and I yearn to engage in mortal combat with my fellow man. I prepare for combat by donning my ceremonial fighting mask.
No one cared who I was till I put on the mask.
I scurry on over to my neighborhood's park and look for a victim. Combatant. I peruse the potential combatants, but none of them are to my liking. But finally, a worthy challenger appears. Meet Mortimer Goth. He is a wealthy individual that has been in every main Sims game, so he's well established within the community. Because of that, he thinks he's better than me. I actually don't know if he does, but I need an excuse to fight him. Of course, I am victorious. I better not see you again, Mortimer, or I'll give you a knuckle sandwich with spicy mustard. Double the main. At this point, I think I've wasted enough time not stealing, and I'm itching to get my theft on. I go over to a nice household on my street, home to the BFFs. I knock on the door and work my charm to win their friendship. I don't need to be doing this. I could just take what I want, but it would make me feel better knowing that they made a friend before losing everything. I steal my first item. It's not worth much, but it's worth a lot to me. Normally there would be a cooldown in the game where it takes 8 hours before you can steal something again. I don't want to wait that long, so I installed a mod that removes the cooldown. With the mod, I go into a stealing frenzy. There is still a cooldown if I get caught, but I won't ever get caught because I am a professional. I lure them away from some of their possessions, like their TV, so they don't catch me while I steal it. After a bit of time, I cleaned their house out of everything I could possibly take. With my pockets filled, it was time to buy a retail store plot and sell my illegal possessions for as much as I possibly can. I invested all of my retirement money, my life savings, into the store. Unfortunately, I worked a terrible job and didn't have enough money to save to build a proper store, so I just threw all of the things I stole onto the lawn, set them to 100% markup, and called it a day. That night, at midnight, because it is illegal to do illegal activities during the day, I opened my store, legit stuff. I got to selling and was making money left and right. After selling the final item, I made over 10,000 simoleons? It's pretty good for The Sims, considering that the stealing and selling took about 3 in-game days. But I'm gonna need more money if I want to expand my lawn store. My next target is Johnny Zest. He lives in a trailer, so there probably isn't much to steal. But I took it all, everything I could, even this awesome lawn gnome. After finishing my stealing crusade, I set up my store with items that I stole. It was at this point I realized I never sold the BFF's art or their TVs, so I slapped together some drywall and put the art and TVs on display. I had a great time selling. Johnny even showed up and bought that awesome gnome that I stole. The gnome is worth buying back. It took a day or two to sell everything, but I netted around 37,000 between the two houses. With my new stacks of paper, I went to build an actual store instead of this lawn. I built the shadiest looking place I could. I built it in an alley behind an abandoned building. If that doesn't scream stolen goods, I don't know what will. Once the building was complete, I needed to get some new inventory, so I gotta go back to stealing. I'm going to launch a 3-point stealing attack on the Pancakes, the Eichmanns, and finally the Spencer Kim Lewis family. I think I'm experienced enough now to take on larger homes. The Pancakes were easy. I showed up, I became their friends, took their stuff, and refused to elaborate further. The Eichmann place was even easier. The house's only resident was an old man, like me. I got a new inventory of goods to sell at these two houses, but it was time to go big at the Spencer Kim Lewis house. This is the largest house that I've stolen from, and it also has 5 people in it. With the amount of people in this home, the odds of getting caught are significantly higher. So I waited until most of the family was sleeping, and then went into the kids' bedroom to start stealing. This is gonna be so easy because I'm a master thief at this point. But I got caught because I assumed that someone sleeping wouldn't be able to witness my crimes. I was wrong. So now instead of prison, I have to wait 8 hours to steal again. Pretty good deal. I'll be back, Spencer Kim Lewis family. That name is too long. I'm not saying it again. I'm back, and this time I brought my A game. I'm going to steal at least half of their stuff. This is my vow as KibblesJack the First. I made a master plan. I'm going to introduce myself to everyone. I then invite everyone to the local park. I travel back to the house with Eric, and now only one person is at the house. It's now time to go to steal, and I get caught. The house is full of crying babies. I wish they would shut up. I got a little distracted by the babies, and once again got caught. This is it. This is the one. I took the family on a nice trip to my house. I went back to their house and got to stealing. Oh! Almost got caught. With that, I am done with this nightmare house. It was easy for me, a professional, but still a nightmare. After a good night's sleep, I traveled back to legit stuff and filled my store completely with my stolen items. I actually can't even place everything I stole because I built the store more for aesthetic rather than function. Time to become the cheesy car salesman of stolen items. Hello, may I interest you in— Hey! Yeah, that's right. Come to me again if you want another whooping. Mortimer actually did come back the next day. I lost. I don't know what to do, so I ran. And I kept running until I found a spot to clear my head. I sat there, pondering my life. What led me here? How could I be so much of a failure that I let Mortimer beat me in a fight? I sat there from sundown to sunup. And finally, I devised my plan for revenge. I'm going to ruin Mortimer's life. My plan to ruin Mortimer's life by KibblesJack the First. Step 1. I'm going to steal everything from his house. Step 2. I'm going to sell his stolen items. Step 3. I'm going to marry his wife, Bella. Step 4. I'm going to take his kids and his home. And finally, step 5. Murder? I don't know if I'm gonna kill him, but I'll circle back to that if I find it appropriate. It's now time for me to go to my rival's house. I was starting to get my stealing train moving when Mortimer lit the house on fire. I put out the fire as I don't want the house to burn down. It's part of step 4. A plan is a plan and you cannot deviate. Now back to stealing. I cleared out most of the house. I even almost got caught once. All that was left was the final boss of rooms. The top floor of the house was a tiny room where the family seemed to like to spend the majority of their time. I had to do the old, come with me family, to another location while I go steal all of your priceless stuff. I led the child that was left behind to the bottom floor of the house while I made a mad dash to the boss room. And the kid followed me up there. Try 2 has been delayed as I haven't been paying my bills, so they sent someone to my house to repossess my furniture. Whoops. I got everyone out of the house but my nemesis. I told him that I wanted to apologize to him. but down at the end of the street. I obviously lied and ran back to the house to finally beat the boss room. Now it is time for phase 2 of my plan. I set up the store with Mortimer's stuff and leftover SKL family items. See, I told you I wouldn't say the full name again. I put in some elbow grease on the sales floor, clearing my stock. After selling everything I stole, I netted over 300k. Time for step 3! I traveled to the Goth house to begin my mission to win the heart of Bella Goth, but also mostly to break the heart of Mortimer. I turned my KibblesJack charm to 11, start to flirt with Bella, and I was rejected. Gonna have to rethink my strategy. I'm going to take her to the park and become good friends with her first, then I'll crank my charm back up to 11. We hung out until I became her best friend. It's now time to turn up that dial. It worked! I honestly didn't believe that would work. Following up with my initial flirtation, I use every ounce of my charm to make her my girlfriend. We go on some dates until I finally work up the courage to ask her the most important question in love. Will you leave your spouse for me? I'm so happy right now, not that I found love, that Mortimer will hate this. I actually did part 4 of my plan next. I moved into the Goth house and kicked Mortimer out. When doing the move in, move out thing, we swapped houses, but I evicted him right after. With part 4 complete and Mortimer homeless, it is time to complete part 3 of my plan, after I completed part 4. I know I deviated a bit. I proposed to Bella, she obviously said yes, and we planned our wedding. We invited our closest friends, the people I stole from. After arriving at the venue with our guests, we hold the ceremony to make it official. I had this excellent shot of Mortimer witnessing the ceremony lined up, but Johnny got in the way. So, thanks, Johnny. After we were officially married, it was time for the greatest of gifts. I obviously win, and our guests cheered for me. My plan is now complete, and I have never been happier. But in that moment, a thought appears in my head. A thought about young me in the car with the rain, thinking about robbing people. I got distracted in my life trying to hurt others when I should be stealing from them. After taking some time to think about it, I decided that I need to do one more robbery, the largest heist yet. In The Sims 4 Get Famous DLC, it adds homes built for the ultra-rich celebrities of the Sims universe. That's it, that's my target, I'm gonna rob one of those. The one I chose is the Mega Mansion owned by the global Sims superstar Judith Ward. There is one problem. This lot has the celebrity home trait, which means I cannot do what I normally do and walk up to the house, knock on the door, and start stealing. Before I was befriending my victims because I thought it was funny, now I actually have to do it if I want to steal from Judith. But there is another catch. Because she is a celebrity, I can't just walk up and befriend her. I'm one of the disgusting unfamous people after all. I need to elevate myself to the demigod-like level that commoners put celebrities on, and become one myself. So I immediately sign up for the acting career. I love the obvious pre-filled nature of the agency I signed up with. It really builds a sense of family. After starting my new career as an actor, I sign up for my first audition. Most of my time from here on out is taken up by practicing my craft. The actor's life is a brutal one. With my new skills, I passed the audition with flying colors. Nervous and excited for my first real acting gig, I arrived on set. I got my costume on and let the director know I am ready. Giving it my all, I acted the hell out of being a pirate for whatever commercial this is for. I did great and got promoted to background actor. I could already feel the D-list actor ego forming. Jumping from gig to gig, I was grinding my way up to a 1-star level of fame. It is now time to get back on track for the heist. I use my fame perk points to buy networking, which allows me to form relationships with Sims more famous than me. Since Judith Ward is at the highest level of fame, this perk is essential unless I want to spend most of this playthrough grinding acting. I head over to the hottest spot in town, the celebrity bar known as Studio PvP. This is where all of the stars go to socialize away from the commoners. I set up my stakeout inside as I sit down in a chair and wait, hoping that Judith will show up. It took 2 nights of waiting for her to finally show up. I almost missed her too, as she never went inside the building. I sprinted full speed outside to catch up to her and do my introduction. And my introduction failed, of course. Panic settled in as I thought I might have wasted my time. I decided to at least try one more time, and it succeeded. Spamming interactions, I built up our relationship until we became friends. I even got more famous by doing this. So the lesson to be learned is that you become friends with a famous person to become famous yourself. Arriving at Judith's house, I prepped myself for the long stealing process. It's gonna be easier than some of the ones I did earlier, as the house is huge with only one person living in it. Starting with the top floor, I was going to work my way in a circle, then head to the bottom level. However, I was interrupted once again by a sim catching themselves on fire. Sims should not be allowed near fire. I even lit myself on fire at the beginning of my playthrough. I ran back upstairs to pick up where I left off. This whole experience was like a mini stealth game, tracking where Judith was pathing to avoid getting caught. It was kind of fun. Once I was done with the upstairs, I headed back down to the main floor. I saved the main room of the house with the piano for last. I would need to steal the speaker first, as Judith turned it on, and speakers attract Sims like moths to a flame. The all-powerful speaker even willed Johnny Zest to break into the house to get a listen. I'm not making this up. Sims love music more than life itself. With the speaker gone, I snatched up the rest of the valuable items in the room. The big heist was complete. Once I set up my store for one final sale, I was ready to reap the rewards of my high-risk activities. It was bittersweet. It was like the end of an era. My biggest and final stealing achievement. With the last of the store's contents sold, I pocketed a total of over 200k from the heist, and ended my playthrough with a total balance of 600k. I had nothing left to do with my life other than burn money and fight off death. I figured that I might as well apologize to Mortimer because I kinda ruined his life. I took Mortimer to the spot where I went to clear my head. I apologized for the terrible things I had done and asked him if he could still tend to the rabbits. Yeah, keep thinking of the rabbits, Mortimer. I told you I'd circle back to murder. I committed a lot of crime in this playthrough, from battery to theft, but I never dabbled in drugs. I did, however, build a drug empire in the lawless, unforgivable lands of a rim world at the edge of known space. My colonists struggled for survival while seeking a blood-soaked fortune.